And we begin with breaking news tonight at 5, a deadly plane crash in Henry County.
The sheriff says one person is dead. This happened in Sulphur Springs. As we show you the map here, this is around 8 miles north of the town of Newcastle. Our Karen Campbell is there live.
Yeah, Karen, can you fill us in on what you've learned?
Yeah, Felicia and Dustin, we know that the FAA is now taking over this investigation from Indiana State Police. We did speak with Indiana State Police. They tell us that a single-engine airplane crashed, they believe, shortly after takeoff here in this private airfield. Now, they say it happened around 2 o'clock this afternoon. We know an 82-year-old man was the pilot on that plane. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Again, only one on this plane who they identify as a 1975 Stuart Bowers Flybaby airplane. Now, we did get a chance to speak with Indiana State Police about what they knew about this investigation. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Henry County Sheriff's Department dispatch started receiving 911 calls about a small plane that had crashed in the field behind me on US 36 near 200 West. When medical personnel and first responders arrived, they did find a small experimental plane that had crashed and inverted into the field near that location.
And as I mentioned, Indiana State Police is working with the FAA to determine how this plane may have crashed. Now, they are not releasing any other information about the pilot other than he's from Middletown, Indiana. They're also waiting on notification of next of kin. But again, a very sad day here as family and friends now have to deal with the loss of who this pilot was, an 82-year-old man from Middletown, Indiana, guys.
All right, Karen Campbell reporting live for us tonight. And thank you so much, Karen. We appreciate it.
And of course, we're staying on top of this breaking news. We'll have more on 13 News and our mobile app as we learn more.
Well, tonight we're learning more about a woman allegedly murdered by her rideshare driver on the city's southeast side.
Metro Police said they arrested the man after she was reported missing on Monday. Our
Chase House spoke with a neighbor and police who say this is just disgusting and disturbing.
Yeah, and that neighbor telling me her body was found directly behind this concrete barrier. Now police confirming today that 30-year-old Shanti Dixon was found shot to death.
Just next to the dead-end road where she was found on is where Dixon lived.
She just moved over here. It seemed like a pretty good woman. She stayed to herself. She was with her kids and her little dog. She had a cute little dog.
IMPD arresting 29-year-old Francisco Valadez for allegedly killing Dixon. Police say he was her rideshare driver and picked her up around 3:30 in the morning to take her home, but she never made it.
That shouldn't happen to anybody, regardless of whatever you doing, whoever you are, wherever. That shouldn't happen to anybody. And I feel bad for her kids. I feel real bad for her kids because now they don't have a mother.
While the chief wouldn't say what rideshare app Valadez was working for, according to court documents, he was working for Uber the night he allegedly killed Dixon. In a statement from Uber, they say Valadez has since been banned from driving for the company and that they will assist IMPD with their investigation.
Women, you have a right to exist in this community safely, and you have a right to use these rideshares safely. Trust yourself.
And while police say rideshare apps are typically safe to use, they recommend doing things like making sure the driver in the car matches what it says on the app, share your ride with people you know, and if something doesn't feel right, ask the driver to pull over and get out.
And according to these court documents, Valadez allegedly told police 2 different stories before he admitted to allegedly shooting and killing Dixon in the backseat of his car. And while police say this may be an isolated incident, they ask anyone who may encountered Valadez to please come forward. Reporting here in Indianapolis, Chase Howell, 13 News.
Chase, thank you. We also reached out to Lyft to see if Valadez also drove for them. They told us there are no records of him working there.
And we know this is disturbing. We have some more info because we wanted to provide some perspective on these types of incidents involving rideshare apps. Well, the Government Accountability Office looked into 3 such apps, including Lyft and Uber. The report shows that 4,600 serious sexual assaults were reported in 2019. Uber alone reported 2,826. And then the report also stresses that these numbers are just from available information. This report also reveals that there's no federal requirement to actually keep data for rideshare related assaults. Plus, the GAO states many victims do not not report assaults, especially if it ends up being sexual assault. That's because of this, they say the data doesn't show the full extent of assaults connected to ride-sharing apps. Just wanted to provide some perspective there.
It's important to give there. All right, let's switch gears, talk about the weather now. As we take a live look over downtown Indianapolis, the sun is out, the 80s are back. Angela, a nice evening shaping up.
It is going to be a great evening. You know, the Indianapolis Indians have their last homestand of the season kicking off this evening. It's going to be a great night for baseball. Temperatures right now in the low to mid 80s. We have 80 Bunker Hill, 83 Carmel, 84 Noblesville, 82 Greensburg, and 81 at Morris Reservoir. I want to point out our camera at Morris Reservoir. If you think it looks a little hazy, you are right. We've been talking about this the last couple of days. Some of that smoke from the wildfires having an impact locally, and we talked about this last night as well, perhaps impacting the air quality. Most of central Indiana in the good range, but we've got a couple of areas of yellow indicating moderate. So if you suffer from upper respiratory problems, just a good idea the next couple of days to take it easy. We have the area of moderate smoke overhead with a layer of thicker smoke actually out to the west, and a concern that this may move our way during the day tomorrow. So just take it easy. Again, especially if you suffer from upper respiratory problems, some of that smoke will start to move our way. This evening, temperatures will be warm in the low 80s through 7 p.m. at Victory Field. We're at 90 for a high tomorrow.
All right, Angela, thank you so much. We got to get straight to breaking traffic news. This is a look at I-465. This is between Keystone and Meridian.
That's right. Crash, someone injured in this crash, obviously causing a backup, as you can see from that live picture there. This is I-465, the eastbound lanes, again, between Keystone Avenue and Meridian Street.
We'll keep an eye on that, keep you updated if we learn more. And the Delphi murder trial is set to begin in a little over a month, but a motion just filed by the defense could change all that.
Late yesterday afternoon, attorneys for Richard Allen asked Special Judge Francis Gall for the okay to ask the Indiana Court of Appeals to review two issues before the trial starts on October 14th.
Allen's accused of killing 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German in February of 2017.
Allen was arrested 5.5 years later, back in October of 2022. 13 News reporter Emily Longnecker is here now to explain what Allen's attorneys want the Court of Appeals to look at specifically. Emily?
Well, Dustin and Felicia, Allen's attorneys don't agree with some of the judge's recent rulings about what evidence can and can't be heard by a jury, and they want the Court of Appeals to review those rulings before the trial even starts. The defense believes those rulings were wrong and violated Richard Allen's constitutional rights, and they ultimately will lead, they say, to a second trial if Allen is found guilty.
Judge Francis Gall got it wrong when she decided to allow a jury to hear more than 60 confessions Allen allegedly made to family, prison officials, and his psychologist while being held in a state prison after his arrest. The defense has argued those confessions were not voluntary and made while Allen was severely mentally ill. Judge Francis Gall disagreed. In a new motion, Allen's attorneys say Judge Gall's decision to allow a jury to hear those confessions denies Allen his constitutional rights. They say if Allen is found guilty, this issue would likely come up on appeal then, and it could lead to throwing out the conviction.
Do we really want to take a chance of having to redo this whole trial again if this gets reversed?
That's the question defense attorney Brad Banks says the defense is essentially asking by filing this new motion. They note a second trial would bring significant expense and time, dragging out the case for everyone. Allen's attorneys want the Indiana Court of Appeals to look at Judge Gall's rulings on what can be heard at trial now, before the trial, not after there's a verdict. Banks says historically, that's usually not how it goes.
This is the type of case they would normally say you have to wait till after your trial and then you can appeal these issues.
Could this time be different? Banks thinks it's possible given the costs and logistics of one trial, let alone a second one if the verdict is appealed.
This is a set of facts that is certainly very unique and may lend itself to being heard prior to the trial.
If that's the case, Banks says expect to see either side ask the court to hit pause on the October 14th date of the trial's start.
Now, the state of Indiana has already objected to this motion. After the prosecution files their objection, Judge Gall has 30 days to decide whether she'll even allow the defense to ask the Court of Appeals to look at the case now. Coming up tonight at 6, we'll break down the other issue Allen's attorneys want the Court of Appeals to review. It deals with the judge's decision to prevent jurors from hearing about other possible suspects. Dustin, Felicia?
As it stands now, we're about a month away from this trial. Emily, thank you. We're keeping an eye on the court filings in the Delphi case. Just scan the QR code on your screen right there to see Judge Gold's reasoning for denying the defense's requests.
Or you can also scan here. You can visit WTHR.com/Delphi as well. And we just learned a Newton County deputy shot in the line of duty will not survive his injuries.
He was shot across state lines in Illinois, just about 10 minutes west of Newton County. Corporal Brandon Schreiber is a 5-year veteran of the Sheriff's Department there. They have not released details of what exactly led to him being shot.
The incident started in Newton County and ended in Illinois, and now Illinois State Police are investigating.